Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden. As a part of a family that explores the consciousness. I'm the void one.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
All broadcasting live from Daytona Beach, Florida. This is Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop, and we're live on Fringe.fm. It's good to be back. My dad's surgery got pushed another week. Thank God. That means we got another week to reach our goal on the station at Fringe.fm. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us from Food Force Abundance, Michael Hoffman, and Jim Gale's here with us. It's about to get pretty interesting. I hope you're ready to talk about being sovereign and doing your own thing, a lack of dependency and all that good energy when it comes to taking care of yourself. Hell, it's natural. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. If you want to call into the show, it's 1-800-588-0335. You can join our Discord server or the Lighting the Void Telegram. And we're also streaming live on video on Rockfin. So you have to search my name on Rockfin. So that's where the live stream is going to be. And then we'll have to put it up on YouTube after that. The good old trusty YouTube. But Rockfin's kind of like the Food Forest Abundance, I would say, of video. Not really. It's a whole different thing. But, well, and by the way, if you guys, on your mobile phone, I know you're laying, listening in bed, cooking, eating all the crap you shouldn't be eating like I was a while ago. But listen, go to foodforceabundance.com. Put in the code word Fringe. You get 5% off anything. And I just want to jump into this because we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. And wait, one more thing. Make sure you guys sign up for Contact at the Cabin. I know the event's in February. I'll be speaking there. So will Owen Hunt, Brandon Powell, Greg Carlwood from the Higher Side Chats is going to be there. A couple other people are going to be there. They're over 50% on the tickets. Once it's sold out, it's sold out. Okay, so go to Contact at the Cabin. You can go to fringe.fm, go to the events, and it's down there. And then I guess you could go there and just click on the magic thing. That's the one we're in. If you really want to go, you don't have to pay for everything. You can put a deposit down, and I'd like to meet you face to face. All right, let's get on with this thing. So you guys are here. Jim Gale is here with us. Michael Hoffman. You guys really need no introduction in this community. Everybody loves you guys. Food Force Abundance is a big talk. I had you on, it's been a while back, dude, but your energy is amazing, and what you guys are doing at Food Force Abundance is fantastic, and it's cool to be able to be an ambassador and help out and try to spread the word, and yeah, and now you got the Academy, right? So I'll let whoever, Jim, if you want to talk first, or Michael, it doesn't matter.
Awesome, Joe, man. Thank you, and we love you. We love your audience. We love everybody who's in the process of waking up, right? And that's the whole thing. We're at war. Like, there's no doubt about it now. For everybody listening here, we recognize that we're at war. And the solution to war is all done by governmente, which means mind control. The solution to mind control is a free mind. Once we have a free mind, then we stop going to fight with our brothers and sisters around the world, and we start start simply loving and serving our communities. And that's what this is all about. And I'm so excited to introduce Michael Hoffman to you. Michael is the part of our core team, and he is living off grid in Montana. He's living the life that we are talking about, that we are showing. A lot of people believe living off grid, it means hard work. It means all this adversity. When you do it right, off grid is the most freeing thing you could ever do for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I second everything you just said, Jim. It is a pleasure to be here, Joe. We love your audience. We love talking about this, and we are at war, and we need to think like that. We need to act like it. And we know that our enemy has got a bigger teeth than us. You know, it doesn't make sense to raise up arms. And we know that violent revolutions never work. We can look at history. So rather than approaching it that way, what if we just stopped feeding our enemy? If we know that all of its power is derived from the power that we surrender and our dependence on that hand to feed us, what if instead of that, we reclaim that power, we keep it within ourselves, and we learn how to feed ourselves? That is how we defeat the enemy that we're up against.
Well said, man. Well said. And it's not, you know, we've been talking about this for years, and that it's coming, you know, all this dependency, these systems. I mean, we can get deep into this stuff, but being able to grow your own food in your own place or your communities. And I don't think people understand like the power of this, you know, because people have asked me about it, and they're like, well, do you have to have you know, like a big property? I said, no, man, you can grow this stuff in your backyard, in the community. You can anywhere. And it's healthy for you. It's organic. It's good for you. It's not gonna, you can get to where you don't even have to go to the grocery store. And dude, here in Florida, I'm going down to Publix every day. It gets a bit crazy how much that stuff is too, you know?
Oh, it really does. Our partner, Dr. Ian Scott, our lead designer, on 1/10 of an acre, he had over 100 types of food growing. And his little suburban yard, you walk through, and I'll give you just a little idea of what permaculture design is, because that's what we are. We're permaculturalists. It's a design science that literally designs freedom into the landscape of society. And so when you walk up to Dr. Scott's front door, there's these 4 different plants, and the smell is just amazing. And so I asked him, I go, so what are these plants here? He goes, okay, Jim, every one of those plants flowers at a different time of year. So for 3 months of the year, you've got a particular smell, and then another 3 months, you've got another smell. It's absolutely beautiful designing those systems in that brings joy. Then you walk through his house and you open his back door, and it's like you're stepping into a jungle of food, and it's well designed, and it's got trails, and it's the kids, his kids absolutely love it back there. They can name every type of food growing, and they eat fresh hand-picked fruit every single day whenever they want. That's what a food forest is.
Wow. And people probably talk about, I imagine, just like how much better they feel without all the, you know, junk and everything. I mean, it takes a while for our system to like really kick it in, but once it does, you can tell, you know.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you can look at something like spinach as an example. It loses 90% of its vitamin C and its vitality within just a day of harvest. So you think about how long it's been since what you'd find in your average grocery store was actually harvested, and it was harvested unripe and out of season most of the time, and then transported in a truck. So even if you're buying clean organic food, which is, you know, don't get me wrong, that's the best place to start. But even that stuff, you're not getting that vitality and nutrition that you would from just plucking it out of the ground in your own backyard.
So would you say that since this whole kind of like COVID thing woke us up or whatever, but the best defense, I mean, I thought I wasn't going to get sick. I thought I was taking care of my immune system, but eventually I get run down. I got sick. I caught whatever it was, you know, the bad flu. That's what I call it. Right. And I was thinking, you know, like I rested. I probably didn't drink enough water. I probably didn't have enough vitamin C, but if you're going to live off grid and you're going to be reliant, the best thing that you can do for your health is stay out of the pill bottles and like take some of this stuff. And, you know, it's the best weapon against all of this stuff. Immunity is, period.
Absolutely. I mean, growing food. So immunity for our bodies is one thing, but what about immunity for the earth? The soil is like the earth's skin. It's like the earth's immune system. And what we've been doing now, and this is all by design, is destroying and mining and harvesting our soil at a rate that's ridiculous and radically unsustainable. And so when you actually build in life into your soil, there's something that's beyond words. It's beyond comprehension. And it's also scientific. And I'm talking about real science. I'm not talking about this crazy shit where you can also feel it. You know, at Gale's Landing here, we've got over 200 different types of food growing already. And when people walk through the food forest, oftentimes they get tears in their eyes. And they're just like, Jim, I get it now. It's so easy. It's like walking through the Garden of Eden. It's just pure abundance everywhere. And that brings life, health, and it brings time and financial value as well.
And health is such an important pillar. I mean, you think about it, what you just said, Joe, that it all kind of starts with your health too. Even if you were, say, in an emergency situation, right? People think shelter, water, fire, food. But what good does any of that do if you don't have the health and the ability in your body to move your body through space effectively and to feel good while you're doing it? So it all starts right there. And through applying these principles, I mean, we can use my property as a great example. Here in Montana, we get frost pretty dang early. Right. And I just this last week harvested a grocery bag's worth of tomatoes out in our garden when all of my other neighbors, all of their tomatoes, their squash, all that stuff got taken off by frost weeks ago. So just from being more thoughtful, from having deeper mulching, keeping those plants more insulated, I'm able to prolong my harvest. And that is life right there in an environment where you've got a short growing season.
Man, back home, I could tell some of my folks, we have I'm from Arkansas originally. We grew up with gardens always, but tomatoes were like important. You mess with our tomatoes, it gets nasty. But imagine you just made me think of like eating a tomato sandwich. Actually, I'm hungry right now, but that's pretty cool, man, to be able to do that stuff. And we have the internet now. You have the website. You guys have an academy that teaches this stuff now, right? So people that don't know anything about it, like, how extensive is it? How is it gonna, how much do they have to learn? Is it a lot to take on or what?
Well, that's a fun part. Academy is what brings it all together. And a little bit about how this was born. So we have been talking about food forestry. I've been for about 15 years. And the academy piece of it, when I would invite people to tour around Gale's Landing, that would be the point where they had been thinking about it for a long time. But when they actually experienced it, and I'm talking about, we've got bees that produce honey, right? The amount of energy that we have to put into the bees is almost zero. The amount of benefit that the bees give us is absolutely off the charts. Not only do they give us gallons of honey per year, which has hundreds of dollars of value on very, very little effort, but they also pollinate our plants and give us more fruit and more food. Right. And then we've got a fish pond that we use the water from the fish pond on an automated timer to fertigate the food forest, which means to fertilize and irrigate at the same time. And it's all on a solar system. So it's all automated. So literally everything there is incredibly low input and incredibly high yield producing. And we can go out at any time of year and get 20 or 30 different types of food at our fingertips within an arm's reach. Sometimes a year, it's 40 or 50 different types of food. And so this is the ultimate freedom. And Michael, he's living it up there in Montana already.
And that's what it's all about, really, is just demonstrating it to people so that they can connect with these solutions and experience them. So if we can inspire someone to just take action, it's not saying, hey, you've got to become self-reliant for every aspect of your life right away. I mean, most people might not have the time or the money to make that change, but to actually see that that's possible, that it is not as hard as you think, that it doesn't take all of your time to maintain these systems. In fact, it takes way less time than you would think. Well, then that makes them realize, hey, I can do this. I can take one step at a time. Maybe I start by just letting this part of my yard grow wild, or I start by planting out this section, or I start by getting a small solar system. Whatever it is that we can inspire with them on site, we also want to empower them with the ability to take that experience home and start putting solutions into their own life.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. So what about people like, you know, because people say, well, I don't know about living off grid. I'm a city person, you know, like I'm thinking of Yellowstone, that show Yellowstone right off the bat. Montana's beautiful. So,
Yeah.
But what about people that just say, like, I don't know, they live in apartments and stuff? I mean, people really don't know how big of a deal it can be just to be able to, like you said, do one little step, just do something. If you've always depended on like the grocery store, like if you've depended on everything, this hurricane just hit us, you know, I'm sure a lot of people could learn from what just happened to us if they had something. I've seen people take this stuff in their house sometimes and still use it. You know, you don't have to go down to the grocery stores closed. I mean, food is the first thing, right? Like food and nutrition is the first thing. It's the thing that gives us energy. It's the thing that keeps us moving. So
and it's the easiest thing. Yeah. And it's so easy. And that's where we want to convey this message and empower people with showing them how easy it is to do this. If you're in an apartment, the cannabis industry has shown us how to grow in a closet very easily. You can go online on YouTube, and within 20 minutes, you can know how to create a system using some LED lights and maybe some reflective material, maybe get a fan and some essential oil diffusers, and you can put sweet potatoes or microgreens or tomatoes or cucumbers or whatever you want in a closet. And there's something very empowering about this. When you eat that first tomato or cucumber that you grow, I tell you what, it tastes better than any tomato you ever had.
Yeah. Yeah. I love cucumbers too, man. So this is something I think I want to ask you, Michael, about the off-grid thing. Do you think that's important when you moved off-grid, right? When you moved out there, was the food and the gardening, was it one of the first? I imagine it's like one of the first priorities that you had to take care of, right? As soon as you moved there.
Yeah, you know, when we moved out here, it's kind of a unique situation because what we moved into was more or less a seasonal fishing cabin. It wasn't set up for year-round occupancy. It wasn't set up to survive a Montana winter and not have the pipes freeze. So really, I approached it like I would, say, a survival situation, as I mentioned earlier: shelter, water, fire, food. So first we started by setting up the cabin itself to be a solid shelter for the family. I made sure that all of the pipes were insulated. They weren't going to freeze on us over the winter. So taking care of our water resiliency, making sure that our well pumps, everything, all the systems were working really well. I swapped out the propane heater, which was just madness. When I'm on 12 acres of trees, why wouldn't there be a wood stove in there that's capitalizing off free fuel? So we got that swapped out and took care of the heating of the home. And then I went immediately into setting up the annual garden area first. And I highlight that because that provides the quickest yield. So we went for the right now food. What is going to give us food within a single year? And then started clearing out the area for the perennial food forest, which is going to provide tons of food for generations to come. So that's kind of how we approached it and the order in which we did it.
And that's, as you guys teach permaculture on the website, the academy. I've went through it and looked through it, and it's cool being an ambassador. I go over there and look all the time, man, because it's interesting to see what you guys are doing. And this is another cool thing about this, you know, before we get to the bottom of the hour here, it's like everybody can get involved with this. You have to imagine, like, as much as we talk about doing this stuff, they're doing it on the internet. They're creating platforms and spreading it everywhere, you know, to get away from dependence. We need to be doing the same thing on the ground. And that's, once it gets, how much growth have you had since, like, let's say in a year? Because I haven't talked to you in a year. Has it been growing like crazy?
Oh God, I gotta show some pictures. We took pictures from about 5.5, 6 months ago, and now we started with a completely blank canvas, about 12 acres of sand, and now the place that we started is an epic food forest. And that was literally the transition in 6 months it blows people's mind. It blows my mind. Now we can literally live, we can survive within about 7 or 8 months. We can survive on that food forest. Within another year and a half, it will be way more abundant than we could ever even eat all of it. You got to come check it out, buddy.
I'm going to come check it out. I got to. So, and then I'm going to take all this stuff back to Arkansas and show all my old redneck buddies back home what's up. I don't even know. You know what? I haven't even checked to see if anybody's even using this stuff in Arkansas yet. I haven't even checked. I wonder if
there are some people, and we've got teams kind of all over there. And here's what's magical about this. What we're talking about is the solution to all of the world's biggest problems. And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. This is a fact. When we transition half of our 44 million acres of lawn around the United States alone into edible regenerative landscapes, the lawn takes more poisons, more pesticides, more chemicals, more human resources than any other crop. When we put that same energy into growing food, when we expose the poisons and the poison producers and we take them out of the system and we grow food instead of those lawns, we reverse mass extinction and deforestation, cancer, heart disease, diabetes. We end tyranny by doing this thing that's really so good for us. It's incredible.
Well, I think what you guys are doing is revolutionary. I mean, it's revolutionary for real. And I think it's important that, like, if you're listening and you're even thinking about this, you need to go to foodforestabundance.com. There's all kinds of ways that you can participate. They have different levels of participation. They got designers, ambassadors. You know, if you're like me, you're a content creator and you really believe in what they're doing, hit them up, become an ambassador. And it's, I have a feeling like in a few years, maybe even sooner than that, we're going to see Jim or Michael or somebody on a show. And then this is, I know it's kind of conspiratorial, but I got to ask you what your plan is on this. Okay. Because the government kind of hangs back, right? They did the same thing with Bitcoin and they did the same thing with this, but when stuff starts taking off, they kind of, take a notice. Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, you don't have to even tell us, but I'm wondering if you've thought about that, because this could get really big, man.
It is. Victor Hugo said there's one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. This is it. Yeah. And I've had major people, Foster Gamble, who's now a friend, called me up and said, Jim, you need a security team. And I said, I've got the best security team that there is. Faith and courage and source.
Right on.
God. And I believe that with all my heart. And here's the thing. I believe that we're spirit playing a divine game, that this is Leela, that this is cosmic play. And I believe that faith is literally the answer in such a profound way. There's a vibrational resonance that we are attracting with this incredible team of people. And we are just going for it because there's something powerful about that. If anything were to happen to me, I've been on, this is my 4th show of the day. And there are so many millions of people who have started to hear about this. If something happens to me, that message is going to go absolutely exponential. Yeah. So I'm protected simply by putting the word out.
And that's just it. We've got no patents, no NDAs, no non-competes. Everything we do is open source. So sure, they could come and squash me or they could squash Jim, but it's out there now. So people could take this, they could run with it. The idea is out there. And I don't care how much censorship they try and throw our way. They can't stop it. It's reached millions of consciousnesses around the earth. So the time is now. We can feel the energy shifting. And every time I'm talking to people every day about this, they feel it too. They feel the shift, they feel empowered, and they're ready to take that inspiration to action. So I think that's what we're going to see over the coming days, weeks, months. We are going to see action like we've never seen before.
Boom.
There you go. We're at the bottom of the hour. Jim Gale's here with us. Michael Hoffman from Food Forest Abundance. You guys heard him, right? The truth is out there. You're just going to sit there. You got to take action. They even threw our slogan in there. See, that's a synchronicity. Didn't even know it. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Dream state like Neo in the Matrix. You can't catch COVID in a dream, but you can wake up with a happy ending.
Type in thefringe.fm/dreamplay and sign up today to get dreaming now. That's thefringe.fm/dreamplay, or click the banner at thefringe.fm today and take the 7-day dream challenge for free while it lasts.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box is handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. And this season, give the gift of magic for yourself or your loved one by grabbing your Altar Box. Was $249.99, now $199.99. The sale ends January 1st, 2021. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altarbox and get yours while the sale lasts.
There's nothing that inspires me more than people that are willing to just go. I got to talk about it. I'm sorry. Just go straight after your vision. And I want to kind of talk about that a little bit so people can understand how this came about, Jim, because it's been a while. So we got a lot of new listeners. Just what inspired you to do this? What came to your head about it?
So a series of different learnings, and there's probably an infinite number, but there's a few that stand out. The number one learning is when I was actually back, I was 19. I was in a network marketing company. It was called Omnutrition. And I was the type of guy, I hated school. I was in college and I was a wrestler. And the only reason I even got C's in school is so I could wrestle. And I'm on my way to this rah-rah event for this network marketing company. And somebody has a Dennis Waitley tape. It's called The Psychology of Winning. Now, this is like 33 years ago. And they put this in the car. We're driving to Texas and back. We listened to that Psychology of Winning the whole way, 24 hours each way. And it blew my mind. For the first time in my life, I learned the psychology of the people who create in our world. And Napoleon Hill deducted, after studying the most successful people in the world, he deducted whatever the mind of man or woman can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I sat with that, and I thought, I've been thinking about that ever since, for 30 some years. I wrote my goals right then, like the month later. And I ended up accomplishing my goals. I did it again 10 years later. And my goals were kind of crazy. I said that I wanted to be a national wrestling champion. And at the time I sucked. Because I created that vision, I was able to reach out for the vision that I had created. Same thing went about 10 years later when I said, I want to have $3 million in 3 years. I was dead broke when I said that. 3.5 years later, I sold a mortgage company that did about $1.3 billion in gross revenue. And right now, I absolutely conceive and believe that we can help be the tipping point, the catalyst for a new way of thinking in our world. And so we're going to change the world. We're coming into the golden age, and it's up to the leaders of our world to know that they are leaders. Everybody listening right now, you're not listening by accident. You're listening because there's something here that pulls you in, that keeps you listening. You're inspired. So now it's time to lead. And how do you do that? You got to start. You get to start by freeing your mind of the programs, of the humiliation and fear and shame that are spread by the mass media, the criminals, the slave masters of our world. And we got to take our power back. And it starts by local communities creating their own self-reliant systems. And we start with the food.
Man, that's such an inspiring. That's so true. You think about it too, right? Like action is, faith and action is the thing that brings heaven and earth together, right? Like that Christ-like kind of energy that manifests everything, the kind of the sun, you know? And it's like, well, we talk about a lot of stuff. There's so many content creators, like you said, and leaders and things like that. But if you ever go down the road and you see somebody in traffic, there's two kinds of people. There's someone that their car breaks down and they panic and they get on the phone and they don't know what to do and everybody's honking. And there's the other person that, like, as soon as the car breaks down, they do everything they can to realize this thing's dead. They get out and start trying to push it. And all of a sudden, the same people, this energy shifts. You know, they're not irritated anymore. They look at someone, look at that guy. He's solving his own problem. He's moving. And people will jump out. You'll see somebody jump out, then another one, and then another one. And that's what it takes to start a movement. One person that's willing to be brave enough to be like, man, that guy's crazy. And it's actually the first follower. And this is where, I don't know if you were the first follower, Michael, or whatever, but that's how movements get started. Because everybody's kind of like, I kind of want to do that, but I'm not brave enough to do that. And then the follower comes in, he's like, I'll do it. And then now it's a movement. You see, now everybody's got more courage. And you'll see that on the highway too when people break down. One person, then a follower, and then it's a movement.
I can't take credit for being the first follower, but I can personally attest to exactly what you just described, having my truck die at a red light when I was living in New Mexico. And I hopped out and I started pushing. People saw me on the side of the road. They ran over. They helped me get it off the road. So you can see it when you've got that courage to act. And absolutely, the first person jumped over. Other people saw him. Oh, I want to go help too. So it's funny. You take that first action. You take that, have the courage to act, and other people are inspired and have that courage alongside you.
Right. Yeah. And no, so this is what we're being taught by the systems. Now, I don't want to get conspiratorial and say there's something metaphysical behind it, but to panic, to worry, to say, I need help, I don't know what to do. I mean, take a breath, make a choice, and move, right? Take a breath, say, I can fix anything, I can do anything. What are my options? And everything that you cannot control, you let go to source, right? Get out of the car and start moving it. And the same people that would have drove around you, because it's vibration. When they look at this worried person, they're panicking, they need someone to save them, right? They start driving around that person for some reason. It's like, now they're like, this is the worst ever, no one's helping me. You know, it's weird. But the one guy that gets out, pushes the car, the vibration lifts a little bit. I can't help
but laugh while I'm hearing you talk about this, man.
You know, it's a simple thing, though. I'm just trying to relate it to, this is what we need to do. So, like, if you guys are thinking, man, I really want to do this, I've always thought about doing permaculture or whatever. I mean, I'm asking you, like, are you sitting in your car right now? If it's broke down, are you going to say, man, I really wish I could get my car to the side of the road? Like, it don't work that way. We got to get the movement going. So
Massive action is what it's going to take to win this war. And here's the thing, not massive action out of fear, but massive action out of inspiration, out of motivation, because we get to change the world. How fucking lucky are we?
Right.
We are here now for a reason. This is not an accident that we're here. If you're hearing this, it's because it's meant for you to hear it right now. Deep in your soul, get off your butt, as Joe is describing, and start taking little steps. And if you don't know what to do next, then sit back, meditate, clear your mind, and let source guide you. And guess what? That's when the magic really starts compounding.
And I can't help but laugh a little bit, Joe, when you were talking about that, because it drives my wife insane that when things pop off, things are going crazy, it's a high stress situation, I don't let that situation dictate how I feel. I don't let it dictate my decision making, because that's what's within my control. I can't control the world around me, but I can control my beliefs and my attitude.
Yeah.
So
right. And love is a vibration
that, right?
too, man. If you love yourself like you love others, if you love yourself in total like you love others, self-love and loving other people, it's all love, right? So if you love yourself, you're not going to let yourself get caught up in a place where you're not able to like move your car or feed yourself or whatever. I mean, you have to take action to take care of yourself so you can take action, to take care of others. And I think that the only thing, like Jim's talking about, is fear and indecision and uncertainty, apathy, things like that. It spirals down, and then the vibration gets low, and then everybody moves around it, and it's not flowing. So love is like the most flowing thing in the universe. You know what I mean? It's pretty
and the thing is
metaphysical.
Go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say, the thing is, where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
So if you are paying attention to the fear and all of the problems, rather than channeling that energy into joyful action toward the solutions,
right,
and paying attention to what can I do to be part of the solution. If you're fixated on the problem, you become the problem. So turn that around and start becoming the solution.
Right.
There's something so powerful about what you just said there, Michael. And then I asked the question, how do I do that? What does love feel like? Tesla was given the quote, or it was said that Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And I think they manipulated that quote. The word think is misplaced. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, then feel or experience in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. When you reach out, you take a deep breath and you let your mind go still. You can start hearing this incredible high-pitched ooh, and then you can start feeling the vibration everywhere. That vibration, there's something physical, palpable about that. And then you can literally use that to manifest whatever your vision is, your inspired vision, right? So feel what it feels like to love. How does it feel to love and then to serve out of that energy?
Yeah, man. This is the movement that I think is going to, wouldn't it be? So this is what I think is going to happen. Food forest abundance is going to be the first revolutionary movement for self-sufficiency in the biggest way. It's going to be like because it's practical. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things. This is the most practical solution as far as us, a community, as far as anywhere where you live, to get off this dependency, man. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Like, we don't realize that we're being trained to be dependent. When you turn on the TV, when you turn on the radio, and you pick up your app, they're always telling you, do you have this problem? This is what you need. Everybody's being categorized psychologically, physically, emotionally. They're categorizing us, telling us they have, solutions to our problems. We don't even get to eat the same food in the school cafeterias anymore. They've cracked down on that even more, and it's not going to get any better. Like, we need to get a head start on all this stuff.
I'm glad you mentioned the school system, because if you don't think they want us to be dependent, look at what they're teaching kids in school. Are they really learning how to grow their own food, how to build their own shelter, how to problem solve, how to filter water, anything that contributes to their ability to just thrive as a living creature on this earth? They don't teach you any of that. They don't want you to know any of that, because then you are free. So that is why they, I believe, have cracked down so hard on the original people and the native populations, and really tried to divorce them as far from their ancestry, their wisdom, their experiences as they possibly can. And you see the degradation and the declination of their health, of their culture, of their society, once they were separated from that connection to nature and source.
What do you think? What would you guys say that for people that do have a problem with fear? Because I know we talk about this, and it's easy to say these things when we agree with each other, because we've experienced the vibration. We know how awesome it is, right? We know how cool it is to have that kind of confidence and love and help and everything. But there are people that are listening that know, like, yeah, I would love to do that or be that way, but for some reason I never move. I never take action. What would you say to them?
I'd say that this is the challenge of your life, is to step into your faith, step into your higher self. First, to know that you do have a higher self, right? And I was going through it. I went literally from 0 to about 20 million to negative 80,000. When I learned 15 years ago what was going on with our world, that we're destroying our world, after I had my first 2 daughters, I became obsessed, because I knew that I could make a difference. And I knew that at the very minimum, I had to try. I had to do everything in my power to try to make a difference for the sake of my daughters.
Yeah.
And something magical happened 2 years ago when I was at the end of my financial rope. I was at rock bottom, and I said, I am done. I am done with the fear. I am going to try out this faith thing, because I don't have any other fucking choice. And I stepped into it, and I started crying, and I was walking, and I remember the moment extremely well. It's incredibly vivid. It's more palpable emotionally than it is even visually. And so I would suggest, do everything in your power. Commit to yourself, if you're listening to this, to go for it, to have complete faith. And then when you sit and meditate multiple times a day, and I'm talking about just taking a few breaths and allowing your mind to relax without any screens, the messages will come, and then you will be working from inspired action instead of programmed or fear-based action. And then the magic will just start lining up.
Absolutely, man. So Michael, when you see a big project, let's say you go on the ranch or whatever, a lot of people are thinking, well, we've already told you can do this in small. You guys got to go check out the website. It's not just about growing gardens. It's about community. If you guys want to start your own side business and stuff like that, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, man. This is the most important thing, to go check out foodforceabundance.com. But Michael, when you guys, I guess I could ask both of you this, when you see this big vision, this dream, I have a vision of what this idea that I need to bring to come, whether it's I got a ranch, here's the layout, or I'm going to start this food force abundance movement. Did you see the vision and work your way back, or did you just go for it?
So there's a lot to unpack there. And I love that question, because really there's twofold. There's the vision itself, which is the inspiration. That's the dream. And for me, how I get there, it depends on the journey. So for a design, for example, for a homestead, how you get there is the design itself. If we're talking about starting something like Food Forced Abundance, I believe that when you've got that in your heart and you step into that love energy that Jim was talking about before, the synchronicities, the universe will help you manifest that. But to actually start something in your life, on your land, it all starts with design. So that is how you make sure that all of the functions that you want to see, think about, what is your day going to be like in this dream? How does my experience start when I leave the front door? Or even better yet, when I look out my window, what do I want to see in that area? So when you have a really clear dream, then you can start figuring out all of these support systems to bring that dream into fruition. And that's really what we're all about at Food Forest Abundance, is applying that design science of permaculture to make those dreams possible and to actually exceed those dreams in terms of, how is this system going to perform? How can we include things like bees and ponds and an area for your children to go outside and play, and all of your favorite foods outside growing? How can we not only have all of those present, but have them communicate and synergize with each other so that you're actually creating something greater than just the sum of those parts? You're creating this connected experience that is going to just change your life. When you actually live your dreams, I mean, where I'm at now is exactly what I dreamt about being 12 years ago. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children. I wanted to be living off the grid, living free, producing my own food. And yeah, I was very young when I had that dream, but the path that has taken me here, that's the magic that I was talking about before. That took me here. And then now that I'm here, it was the clear vision, looking at the landscape and designing how I can actually bring the rest of that dream into fruition.
That makes you wonder if the creator does the same thing. I mean, look around you in nature, right? And then he gave you this place. Say, now here, create, right? So I think that's another thing too, because we talk about metaphysics a lot on the show. I think Food Forest Abundance and what you guys are doing has actually brought the whole style of the creative process from the idea to the ground, in the dirt, just like how creation happens, right? And you get to be a part of it. So you can see your own power, because nothing in the universe has a choice. That's the thing. It all does what it's supposed to do. It's just doing its thing. But you're a child of God. The biggest power you have is choice and the ripple effect after, and nature and food and everything in your body. And that's what it's all teaching you. That's why you're here, you know?
Yeah.
I would love to say something about that if I could, because I resonate very strongly with that. And I believe that this is what we were created to do. If we believe, we were created in the image of God, and we think about what that force did here, I believe that the process of designing and implementing something that is going to steward this creation, steward nature for the betterment of all involved, is that process of stepping into your divine throne, into what you are created to do. If you think about the unification of masculine and feminine energy forces.
Yep.
So on the masculine side, you've got the paternal pattern. You've got that electrical pattern that you put out into the matter, into the maternal material world. So you've got that unification of masculine and feminine energy when you combine design and pattern with matter. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here.
We are the creator. Like literally, that's who we are. We're living an infinitesimally small piece of the big, right? Of what you might call God or source. And I'm living my Jim Gale experience at the moment, but we are connected to the big eye in the sky. And how do we get connected? Again, it's the contrast. Governmente is our enemy in this war, which simply means mind control. Right. And I'm not saying government's our enemy. I'm the people of government. A lot of them are starting to wake up, and they're starting to say, no, we want to serve the people. But this idea of mind control is the enemy. Right. And then the solution to mind control is simply a free mind. And where are all the ideas, and why are we going to win this war? Because we have the ability to create, because we're connected to source and spirit and God. Whereas the evil, these wicked people that are harming the world, they're humiliated. They live diseased and diseased and in these low vibrational states. They don't have connection to source. That's our number one up on why I know we're going to usher in the golden age.
Man,
well, you look at it, and what they've done is that enemy, that proverbial governmente mind control system, you're right, they don't have that connection to source. And if you see they've tried to engineer as much as they can into society to connect or disconnect our connection from source, to take what is natural and what is good about this creation and pervert and invert it and divorce people from that into an artificial matrix as much as possible. So absolutely, we're going to win because we're on the side of nature and truth and God's creation. So yeah, there's just absolutely no way that transhuman dystopian reality is going to come into fruition. I don't see it.
Well, here's what I want to do, because I want to take this conversation further and talk a little bit about the mindset, Michael, of like the off-grid living, how food forest abundance kind of helped you go through this. Awesome for you to join us tonight, Jim, in the late night, man. It's really cool to have you here, and we appreciate you coming out. I know you got to go, but we appreciate you stopping by and giving us that inspiration. You're one of the most inspirational dudes I've ever met in my life, man, for sure.
Oh, man. Big hug, Joe, and I can't wait to show you around. Literally call me like tomorrow and let's get you to Galt's Landing. We'll do a little video there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Right on, brother. Thanks for coming out.
Love you guys.
We'll be right
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
All right. We're back with Michael Hoffman from Food Forest Abundance. We just had Jim Gale on, and we're going to talk about a little bit more Food Forest Abundance, a little bit more off-grid living. It's a big thing now. There's a lot of, I guess I could say, living in Daytona. People talk about it around here as if it's on a TV show. It's on the TV show, Survival, and all this other stuff. But you think when people hear about off-grid living, it's like, there's some people that are really into this, man, and you're one of them. You're like one of the leaders in this stuff. So I've talked to people about this subject, and there's some stipulations, right? Because I want to talk about kind of like the philosophy of it first. So what would you say to the people that, they're like, well, I want to live off grid, but I don't want to like be away from modern medicine or the technology or things like that. And I can see their point. Look, I'm 20 minutes from a hospital. If I need to run to the grocery store, I can. If I need to go, it's convenient, right? What would you say to those people?
Be thoughtful about where you're going. So where we're at here, it's about an hour to the nearest city, and we are 6 miles down a dirt road. And when we came out here, yes, we were expecting to have to take on a whole lot more ourselves, but at the same time, what is the community that you're surrounded by? So yeah, we might not be near a city center, but being out here, and it's funny because I was born in Washington, D.C. metropolitan area in Montgomery County, Maryland, surrounded by tons and tons of people, cultural melting pot, high population density, moved from there to New Mexico, lower population density, but still, outside of Albuquerque, near a pretty big city, to where I'm at now. And each step of the way, being surrounded by less and less people, I've gotten to know more and more people. So where I'm at now, even though I'm surrounded by less people, I know my neighbors way better than I ever have before.
Yeah.
And down the road, I've got a retired emergency surgeon. Down the other road, I've got an electrician. We've got people who all have different components that they add. The guy next to me has a log mill. He can build cabins. He can do amazing woodwork. So just getting to know the people who you're surrounded by, and then also being thoughtful about, okay, well, what can I bring to the table? What is my value add to the community? How can I plug in? And so that was, kind of my value add was the food production systems and getting them to realize that I can do this, even in a cold environment, even in zone 4 here in the United States. I can grow food. I can have a food forest. So just being thoughtful about who you're surrounded by is really, really important.
Well, that's a very interesting point, because I grew up in a small town, and people always say, well, it's podunk hillbilly redneck. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. I know people on a deep level. Like, it's a community where people generally care about each other. I can depend on those people. Every time I've moved to another city, whether it's been upstate New York, don't get me wrong, people are people, upstate New York, Florida, whatever. Yeah, I end up making a few friends. Arizona, not so much, but when you live, I wasn't there very long, but when you live in a a community like that. I lived in Arkansas for 38 years in a really small town, in a really small village in the woods, kind of north of the town. Grew up hunting, fishing, like we knew everybody. And it's nice. It's not just safe. So for people that are like worried about fear and stuff, just think about that. Think about, well, I need more people. I feel safer around more people. Do you or do you feel safer around people that really want to get to know you, that you can depend on, that kind of live the way you do? That it's a little different, I think.
It's very different. And think about it too, in terms of if the enemy were to come knocking at your door, let's call it that. So if a police officer were to show up for whatever reason, or a governmente representative were to show up, wouldn't you rather it be Bill or Linda down the road who you've met and you know, interacted with many times, versus some hulked out state trooper dressed up like Batman who you've never met in your life coming to beat your door down? I mean, there's a big difference in that.
Yeah, who got bullied a lot and now he's angry about it and he's bored and he wants to say, I have this weird thing with cops, and I'm trying to shake it. They always harass me a little bit everywhere I move. And I think it's because I got a really old car, you know. It looks like one of those old kind of white trashy Hondas that someone might be dealing drugs out of or something, you know. And they're like, we don't know, you're not from around here. I'm like, really? And I end up getting hassled by them a lot. But back home, heck, I even got handcuffed a couple times and they let me go. I'm not saying that's a good thing, right? But what I'm saying is I get your point. It's a lot cooler when you actually know people that have compassion. They know you, they care. But what about hunting and fishing though? Because I'm big on that. I've done that my whole life and I'm kind of big on that. Do you do a lot of hunting and fishing out there?
You know, actually, I mean, it's a huge community. Actually, people come from around the world to do trout fishing, pretty much in our backyard down on the Missouri River here. But I'm personally plant-based, so I don't do too much of that. And we could talk a little bit about why I'm that. But for all of you, Agenda 21, and you know, oh, he's a shill. He's out there eating plants. You know, it's not like that. There's different reasons for doing things, and all I'll say is that not all of us are crazy and left liberal-minded people who just want to, you know, shove a bunch of fake processed food down your throat. We're not all like that.
Yeah. Well, you're a really happy, vibrant kind of dude, right? So it obviously is working for you. You got enough energy to build your place out there and do what you got to do. So how much work do you put into your, let's just say, your food gardens and your food, you know, your land and stuff every day?
You know, less maintenance than I would the equivalent area of lawn. So, you know, if you think a quarter acre out there, if you were out there having to mow it for an hour or whatever every week, that's about how much time I spend out there, if not less. So really, the time that I spend out there, though, if I choose to spend more than that, it's a choice. It's because I like being out there. So I could get away with, you know, doing half an hour a week, roughly, taking care of the food systems. But instead of that, I actually like to be out there for, you know, an hour a day if I can, because it's peaceful for me. It reconnects me. I like to take off my shoes, feel the dirt underneath my feet, walk around on my mulch. It feels really nice, and just get grounded and reconnected. And so, yeah, I've got automated irrigation, but I tell you, I find myself out there hand watering more often than not, just because I enjoy that experience.
Man, it sounds nice. I miss the crickets back home sometimes, like moving around. I've lived in a lot of duplexes and apartments and things like that. And when you go out your front door, there's people, morning, and they want to talk to you and everything. And that's cool. But sometimes, I mean, I just miss being able to walk outside and like, just breathe the air, do whatever I want and not be disturbed for a while. You know, that's nice too.
Yeah, it's definitely nice not to walk outside and, you know, be in your pajamas and have your neighbors staring at you. But I tell you, you mentioned crickets, and I think we need to get some chickens out here or something to take care of all the grasshoppers, because it is out of control, the number of insects that we have. But it's kind of amazing because living closer to the city, as I said, coming from New Mexico, there weren't bugs like that. And I don't know if that's the EMF. I don't know if it's that they've just got less habitat. I don't know what it is, but returning out here, it was like, wait, there's bugs again. And I remembered that as a child, and it seemed like it kind of tapered off and they just weren't there at all like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, the same thing happened to the lightning bugs. I thought when I grew up, I thought, man, when I was a kid, I saw them. They were everywhere, right? Where are they? And I think what it is, and there's still some spots that have a lot of lightning bugs and stuff, but I think what it is that I don't know, there's something that's happened to the environment, I think, for sure. But the solar power is another question was going to ask you about. Is your place entirely run off solar, or does it have a electric grid and solar to it?
So no, we don't have any electric grid out here. The electric grid stops at about the half-mile marker on this road, and yeah, we're about 6 miles down it. So all off of a solar system, and actually a smaller solar system than you might think. So we've got a family of 4. We haven't sacrificed any of the modern conveniences, and we've only got 6 260-watt solar panels out there. And those feed a AGM battery bank. So we've got the solar power is powering our house during the day and charging those batteries. And then those batteries are what power the home overnight. And a big part about when you are looking at being more self-reliant or going off grid is having redundancies. So I'm in Montana. If I'm relying on solar panels, sometimes you get a few days of snow in a row, or you get, real heavy cloud cover. So we do have a backup propane generator to charge up those batteries and power the house if that system is to fail.
Montana. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, Yellowstone, that show makes everything look so beautiful. Montana's a beautiful place, man. It really is. So I think
it's a very diverse landscape. Yeah.
I mean, you look happy. You look full of like energy. There's some real concerns about like people living off grid. I'm just saying, I hear these discussions all the time. 5 of my neighbors are always talking about the supply shortages and things like that. And it's a little different, and I'm not trying to say anything, but it, like growing up being redneck, and I'm very proud of that word, by the way, has kind of made me worry a little less about supply. I mean, it's crazy. I grew up eating deer meat and eating out of gardens, and some pretty bad food too, fried food and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think what you're talking about is something that we're just naturally born with. I think we just forgot what it was like to be a part of everything in nature. It's not like it's something hard to learn. I think it's natural for us to be that way.
That's exactly it. It is the natural template. It's what we were designed to do, is to plant seeds and harvest foods from the ground and be a good steward of this creation. So yeah, there couldn't be any more natural of an experience than really engaging with the natural world.
So when it comes to food force abundance, what can people do? What options do people have? Because I kind of know, but I know you know way more about about it than I do. But they can learn how to do. They can learn permaculture. They can learn how to be a designer. They can. I mean, you can pretty much start your own business. You can do. You guys got to go check out this website. Am I missing anything here? The academy's there. You can be a brand ambassador like me. You can help spread the word. There's I just think it's important to know this right now, because there's a lot of other people that are talking about, there's not enough work and supply shortages. And I was talking to a guy today, and he said, well, I might have to go find a job and doing this as a country guy. And I said, well, you could try food force abundance. He's like, well, what's that? And so I kind of told him about it. He goes, I don't do that internet stuff. I said, it's not really like internet stuff. It's actually, you can do it out in the world. So it's not, I'll let you explain it, because I'm just rambling about it, man.
No, I love it, Joe. So yeah, like we talked about at the beginning of this show, we're in the middle of a revolution. And you who are out there listening to this right now, you are a revolutionary by entertaining these ideas, by paying attention to this and sending your energy into this. And that's who we're looking for right now, are our fellow revolutionaries, our fellow pioneers who are willing to blaze this trail alongside us and really start growing solutions, growing freedom and abundance right in the heart of your community. So there's many ways you can do that. As Joe said, and as he does right now, he's an abundance ambassador. He can actually get a commission from letting people know, hey, here's Food Forest Abundance. If you go and get a design, you get their services, he'll actually get a little bit of money for that. And that's our way of saying thank you for helping to spread this mission. Now, if you are a hands-on person who wants to get your hands dirty and be out there doing that hard work and enjoying the fresh air and sunshine, you could become an installer. You could be out there installing food forests, which are edible ecosystems that will feed people for generations. So you put one of those in the ground, it is going to long outlive you and produce food for your children's children's children. So you can get involved on that side. If you like working more remotely, you don't want to be out there doing that much. Maybe you want to move outside of the city a little bit further away from people. Hey, you could become a designer and you could work off your computer doing digital renderings and putting all of this thought into people's landscape for how they can be successful and how you can actually engineer those edible ecosystems. And then the highest level, let's say, I'm ready to quit my 9-to-5. I don't want to be feeding the beast anymore. I don't want to be working somewhere that's going to force me to undergo a medical procedure or wear a medical device on my face just to show up to work. I'm done with it. We offer this new opportunity, which is the Freedom Farm Academy. And this is a turnkey regenerative entrepreneurship where you can divorce yourself from that system. You can start living more self-reliant, set up your homestead, and let that be a place where the community can come and experience these solutions. So a really crude example would be like the Apple Store, where you can show up, you can interact with the devices, you can experience it, and you can take that experience home. So we want someone to be able to show up to the Freedom Farm Academy, experience what this is like, and bring that experience home through the design, consultation, and installation services that you offer, as well as the strategic partnerships that we've established through aligned enterprises such as solar or rainwater catchment. So you find solar is a great example because a lot of people who want to grow their own food also want to harvest solar energy, or vice versa. People who are thinking about putting solar panels on their roof are probably thinking about putting a garden in their backyard. So we've got strategic partnerships with massive solar networks to where somebody shows up to your site, they see a solar system and they say, I've been thinking about getting solar. You can make that connection, you can get money from that sale, and that in and of itself is a profitable business. There's people out there making millions of dollars just selling solar systems. So what we're doing is creating this demonstration center from which so much could be stacked on. So at its core, yes, you offer the consultation, design, and installation services to help people get their food growing on their own property, to help them start establishing a decentralized, healthy, abundant food supply. But on top of that, we've got people who want to stack healing centers, chiropractors that want to run their office out of this. We've got podcasters and influencers who want their studio in the middle of a Freedom Farm Academy. People who run ecotourism, vacation rentals. So you can just see how much could really be stacked and integrated with this to be a highly profitable, but also highly beneficial system for the entire community.
And the entire time, damn the man, you don't need him. You're becoming self-sufficient, self-reliant, and you're showing people how to do it. There's nothing better than that. That's like feeling that kind of power. I was going to tell a story about hunting an animal for the first time, but you probably wouldn't like that story. But their own personal power of being able to put my own steak on the table. No, I'm just playing. But you know what I'm saying, right?
No, I do. It's you felt proud of the ability, the fact that you were able to provide that meal for yourself. You didn't have to interface with somebody else. You were able to go out and get that. So, I mean, there's nothing bad I can say about that.
Yeah, because if it becomes a fallout, I'll tell you this, like if a fallout happens or something and we're all down to shortwave radio, Like, I'm not going to be the guy that's out there like, oh, I'm going to find some corn and some beetles, or, you know, or whatever they're trying to get us to eat. They're talking about in the cities. I'm going to be in the woods, like climbing trees, and I'm going to see something with horns on it, and I'm going to eat a meal probably, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to grow something. It's not that hard.
No, it's not. And for me, it was that same thing of building up my knowledge. So if I'm relying on plants to eat, then yes, I want to grow those, but I also need to know what's growing around me. And people are so surprised when they find out how many edible plants there are, even in, you know, middle of Montana. So even though I'm not living entirely surrounded by a designed food forest, I am living in a food forest right now. I know countless areas of my property that I can go and get food right now if I wanted to go outside and do some foraging. So just learning a core set of edible, medicinal, and useful plants. It doesn't have, you know, a single lifetime is not enough time to know every plant in the forest. But if you can just learn a few of the most common ones in your area, you will be absolutely astonished at how you can change your life and feel more secure in your ability to provide for yourself.
Well, don't you guys want that? Aren't you tired of eating the McDonald's burgers and the canned goods, you know, the ramen noodles? I'll be honest with you, when the hurricane hit here, I was eating a can of corn in the dark. So it happens, right? But, you know, like, you got to learn that stuff. Think of it as, even if you're afraid, I would say there's no point in being afraid, but I would think of it as an adventure. And I think, didn't you say you got to go? So this is our last segment here. You got to run. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll probably have to jump at the end of this segment, unfortunately.
Well, we have to take a break and come back. So I don't know that we only got one more segment left. If you want to run, you can, but I think we get the message, man. But I want people to know, like, where they can follow you, because I'm sure I know a lot of people that are listening right now, at least 3 guys I know of, that are probably going to want to come find you on the internet and figure out what you're doing.
Yeah. If there's just one more segment, I think I could probably swing that. My wife might not be too happy at me.
Well,
I think I can make it work.
I'm very good at making other people's wives mad at me, so you can blame it. You can blame it on me. We'll be right back, though. We do got to jump in a break, and you guys stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Michael Hoffman from Food Forest Abundance is here with us. Go check it out. He'll become an ambassador if you got a podcast or a website, but go to the website, check it out. Put in the code word friend.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
Oh, man. You guys are going to have to hang with me here, because I'm doing the video and radio. I stayed up all night testing this stuff. Here with Michael Hoffman from foodforestabundance.com. We're talking about his off-grid living. We just had Jim Gale on as well, and I think I'm doing pretty good. I've made one mistake with the video and like the audio stuff. Everything's good, though. And I want people to really understand that there might actually be a time, and I don't like pushing fear and stuff, but I want to talk to you about this, because there's fear and then there's practicality too. Okay. So there might come a time, and especially if you have family, that you need to really understand the importance of how to survive just in the woods or even off grid. I think it's something that, if I was a father right now, and I know I was talking to you in break, and you got 2 children, I have a son too, like, there's some essential things that I think we all should know. Because if you pay attention to society, the way things are moving, the quickening of things that are happening, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get involved at the very least with food for forest abundance, and then maybe learn about how to live off grid. And I mean, off grid living, like we were talking about before, is just simply being able to get back in nature and live and thrive and be abundant. They've got us so dependent on all. Look at my electronic spaceship here, Michael. I mean, they got us so dependent on this stuff. I mean, what are you going to do, right? Are you miserable without all these computers like I have?
I can't say I am. And yeah, it's funny too, because I think when you tell people that, hey, I'm living off grid, they kind of picture you living like in the dark by candlelight, like making your own forks and cutlery out of sticks in the woods and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
we didn't have to really sacrifice anything to be out here. You know, we might be a little bit more mindful and a little more thoughtful about our electrical usage. I'm not going to be, you know, doing a load of wash and have my wife blow drying her hair while I'm running power tools off of the system. You know, you don't run it like that all at once, but that's okay. You know, you get into a new rhythm and a new pattern, and you figure out how to do things without having to sacrifice some of those conveniences.
Well, you look pretty happy, because that's what people think, right? They think, oh, you know, he's off grid. He's got to be miserable. He's got to be bored out of his mind. I mean, what are you going to do after you work in the yard? To me, because I know kind of about living in the country, but not like I worked on a ranch, but never kind of lived on one, so to speak. But you're never bored. There's always stuff that you can do. Always. You're never bored.
There's too much to do. You never clear it off your plate in a single day. And it's not to say that, you know, that's a bad thing. It's a great thing, because yeah, you're never bored. And, you know, I might be unique in the sense that I've never really felt the need to be surrounded by a bunch of people. I've always been very comfortable in my own company. But now, you know, being just surrounded by my family and enjoying that quality time together and the solitude out here, I mean, it feeds my soul. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who might not thrive in that, but man, for me, it is, I count myself grateful and blessed for every day I get to live this life.
How cold does it get up there? What's the coldest you've experienced it there?
Coldest I've experienced here so far is -30 Fahrenheit.
What? That's crazy, man. That is crazy.
It was pretty brutal. And it was when we first moved out here. So it was like, you know, what can go wrong will go wrong, right? We had a couple of days of snow. The generator that we were left with didn't work. It wasn't working in that kind of cold because for, you know, those of you out there who don't know, actually propane versus gasoline, propane freezes faster. It has a lower threshold for its freezing point. So it wasn't happy. It didn't want to get started up. The systems that were here, as I said, it wasn't really set up to be a year-round residence. And I moved out here in the winter, and go figure. So it was like, yeah, kind of that perfect storm. But it's funny because going through that, I look back and I laugh and I think about how much I learned from that experience. And that actually helped me to be more thoughtful about how I designed and improved on all of those systems that did fail.
Speaking of which, I should have asked you this earlier. What was the toughest thing that you've been through doing this? Was that it? Or was there, that was it?
That was probably it right there, because with all of that, the way that this system was set up, I didn't have the hand pump down on our cistern yet. And so it was relying on an electric pump. So without electricity, not only could we not, you know, have our kind of basic conveniences, but I couldn't get water out of the faucet.
Oh no.
So yeah, through that, we actually had to go outside and fill up a container with snow and melt it on the wood stove. And it was like, oh, it was a whole ordeal. But that was definitely the most brutal experience we went through. And I will tell you, it has not happened once since.
Yeah, I bet you kind of got to go through those things, right? You got to experience like a few little rough patches or hardships so you don't do it again. I mean, that's what nature teaches us. I got to be honest with you. I don't know if it's the Arkansas in me or not, but I can't stop thinking about how big a deer you guys got up there, man, and how long I would probably feed off of it. I'm just one like they're pretty big, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we to whet your appetite a bit. Yeah, we get, I mean, huge whitetail and mule deer, good sized ones. We've got elk in this area. I just had a bighorn sheep walking down our driveway. We get moose. I've seen mountain lion up in our tree line. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. I've seen a wolverine driving out to the property at night one time. That was a really cool one. I haven't seen a grizzly bear. They're in the neighborhood. We've had plenty of visits from black bear, and they're pretty funny. You run out there, you scare them off, they take off. But yeah, it's fun living around the other peoples, the other kingdoms, as I would say, the rest of the creation, right?
I promise you guys, as he was talking about that, my stomach growled. It really did. So I'm just telling you, like, I grew up and we ate a lot of deer meat, man, like a lot of deer meat. And I think it just triggered something unconsciously in me, but everybody dreams. My dad used to tell me that, man, I want to go hunting in Montana. Like, I'm tired of these pine woods. I want to go up to Montana. And it's like, I'm telling you, it's freezing up there, but it's beautiful though. So you got like any video on, you got a YouTube channel or anything that people, like, I don't even know how you would get content out. You don't have the internet for sure, right? Like you're on the internet right now,
yeah,
but
I'm on the internet right now. So
but you don't have like wired internet though. So
yeah, it comes through the cell phone network actually, which is kind of funny because I don't have cell phone service. So, you know, go figure that I'm able to get internet through this little antenna. But yeah, it comes in and then I've got it hardwired within the house because we don't do Wi-Fi and all that. But yeah, I've got internet out here. As far as channels go, right now you can find me on other platforms. Recently on the Inspired Network with John Nolan, on the Corbett Report. And then on Food Forest Abundance's social media networks, I put content out through that, but I don't have a channel of my own at this time.
You're a busy guy. Why would you, right? Why would you? So, do you think that, where do you think we're going to be, let's say 10 years from now? I mean, there's so many people living off grid now and doing it's, I mean, if you get on YouTube and watch it, it's a thing now. It's a big thing. And I'm wondering if some people think, oh, it's just going to be a fad. And I don't think so, man. Like, I don't think this is going to be a fad. I think society is like splitting in a way, in a kind of a sense of a way, you know.
I do big time. And I mean, I can't help but think of the separating of the wheat and the tares, but you see this pull, and a lot of people like to politicize it, left versus right. I don't see that so much. I mean, I'm personally apolitical. I think it's all organized crime, but if you really look at it, it's like you've got this separation between those who wish to return to nature, and you tend to see a lot more of those minded people within rural settings. And then you've got those who want to plug themselves in, get the technology in their own biology, and basically upload their consciousness to the matrix. And those are, you know, the people who you see that vortex being drawn further and further into the system and into the city.
And they don't even understand consciousness. They don't even understand consciousness yet fully, and they're already hooking up their machines. I was talking about that, I think last week. They're already hooking up their machines to plug us up while they're testing consciousness on flies. Like, look, it twitches when I do this. Yeah, you know, animals twitch too after they die. Like, what does that have to do with my awareness of self or consciousness? They're going to keep digging and digging until they you know what I think, man? I'm going to get really crazy with you here on this.
Let's do it.
COVID was a thing that happened so fast they didn't have time to test it properly, right? So they kind of illegally, according to protocol, tested on humans. Maybe that was kind of a thing, so they could do that with the plug-ins to us too. I mean, we already did it with COVID. Why not? You know, we don't need to do the process anymore. It does freak me out a little.
Yeah, you look at things like the World Economic Forum, and they tell you exactly what it is. They call it, you know, Klaus Schwab put out a book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. So it wasn't even about the scamdemic. It was about what can they use that crisis as an opportunity to change the structure of society, to further digitize things, to look at the biosecurity narrative. You know, it used to be about physical security, homeland security. That was the narrative. Patriot Act, think about all that. And then they moved it into the biology. How can we get more control, more surveillance, more intimate with your biology and tracking and tracing the data of your own being.
Yeah.
So that's really how they use this thing to push it. But I don't see it going there, man. I mean, you asked me where I see it in 10 years, and we're at this fork in the road where you've got people who want to go from 5G to 6G to go from the Internet of Things to the Internet of Bodies is really what I see 6G being, which we could go down a whole rabbit hole there with 6G. And I think there's a connection to Genesis 6, but on the other side of it, you've got returning to nature and toward going with this idea whose time has come. And that is where I see us going. I mean, it's out there. I think that people are ready to return to nature. And that's where I see it heading. I think that fiat's going to be done in 10 years. I think that these control systems are going to be done. I think that government is going to return to what it was supposed to be, which is a service company. It's supposed to provide basic infrastructure and services to keep things running smoothly and to keep the wheels greased, so to speak, in between people.
Well, you know, that 6G thing that you mentioned earlier too, there's other things that I believe we're going to discover as human beings, that not just nature, but some deeper things like that have been lost, like the sacred geometry or biogeometry, setting up certain pattern waves by using certain geometrical architecture and things like that, where we can fight off these waves. And this is not crazy pseudoscience. Dr. Ibrahim Karim is going around the world right now showing this people scientifically about how you can use sacred geometry and structures and the frequencies of these shapes and things like that to even fight off all the negative vibrations and frequencies and radio waves and everything. So, and put us on a better, I forget the name of it, but, you know, a better sync with ourselves, and it's healthier to be in environments. And this is something that I really believe that the ancients knew, and why we have so many temples shaped certain ways, and that a lot of lost things and a lot of hidden things are going to be coming back too to help us out through all of this, I believe.
Yeah, it's incredible when you look at some of the research that's coming out surrounding the whole idea of past civilizations, mud floods, Tartaria, that kind of stuff. And you see these star forts, you see this old architecture and these structures that have these geometric principles that are actually resonators. They're able to capture and amplify energy.
Yeah.
So I agree with you completely that, you know, that idea of 0 point energy or free energy, I think it's just on the horizon. And once that is unlocked and once that is put out there in a way that can be repeated and duplicated, and I mean, it's game over for the powers that wish to be the powers that are clinging on right now desperately.
Yeah. So we'll all have our own food forest abundance forests, and we'll have our own community and businesses set up. And then we'll set up biogeometrical things, and then everybody will just start getting out of body, and it'll be just like the Garden of Eden before this stuff happened. You know, we'll live longer lives. People will be able to leave their bodies and come back. I know I'm getting out there with you, buddy, but yeah, I think
people think that the Garden of Eden is this utopic fantasy, and go out to Galt's Landing, go see what Jim is doing there. You'll see it's not a utopic fantasy. It is nature. It is our natural template. Open up a fruit and see how many seeds are in that single fruit. Imagine if you planted each one of those seeds, they sprouted up into trees, how many more fruit would be produced? So if we just took the time and the energy to be thoughtful stewards, to take that action in your local environment, which if you're eating foods that are grown locally, guess what? Those seeds will actually take in your soil locally and provide a yield. So if we just interact with nature a little bit more, we step into that, we would be living in the Garden of Eden today.
Man, I agree. All this stuff that if you've noticed, if you get on the internet, you've noticed that spirituality and the mysteries and metaphysics and things like that seem like to be at an all-time high, especially on Netflix. I was just looking at it a while ago before I got on the show. There's so many shows about it. And it's like I'm just saying, man, something's being worked out here. So we've got people moving out to the woods. We've got other people that even if they're still in the cities, they're still fighting the good fight, you know, talking truth and trying to help out. And then all of the mysteries are coming up, and there's so many like truth seekers and new things coming out. I just feel like I don't feel like they have a chance, to be honest. I mean, I guess you could say that the bad guy always has a chance. I just don't think they're going to win, man. I don't.
No, I mean, when is a wild animal the nastiest and loudest and lashing out? That's when it's cornered. Right now, they feel cornered. They feel like they've got no way out. They can see the end coming, and we know that it's going to be their end very, very soon. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some more, big hoaxes, big events. They're going to try and lash out. I mean, we've got the wars and rumors of wars right now.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening, man. I think that it's going to be a lot of noise. It might get a little bit worse before it gets better, but I can see that sun rising. I can see that we're stepping past all of this darkness. We're going to make it through.
We got a choice to do that. And we have a choice. That's why I was talking to you, kind of bringing this full circle. Like, we always have a choice to change this at any point in time. And that's the power that whatever source, God, whatever you want to call it, has given us. And I'm sure I can see the vibrations of your life right now when you're out planting seeds and observing nature and seeing how this whole thing comes together. And even Manly P. Hall said that the teachers are alive. They're not in books. All of the teachers of the mystery schools are in nature and around you. And this guy was like the genius of all the mysteries. And he's telling you flat out, every school that I've talked about is in nature. You don't have to open a book to find it. I mean, there it is right there. So
it's right outside your door. It's waiting for you. And that's why you see this truth woven in and out of spiritual traditions all across the earth, from disconnected peoples to connected peoples. So when you read something that's true, when you experience it, that pure, uncomplicated, natural truth, you know it, you can feel it. It has a vibration, it has a resonance, and it's just out there waiting for you. So that's what the food forest system is all about. It's biomimicry. It's looking at nature's template of growing. You don't see people out there with a bunch of pesticides and chemicals and fertilizers out there keeping the forests alive. No, it's a perfectly designed ecosystem that is sustaining itself. And that's what we're doing. We're designing those ecosystems to just be edible. We're looking at how those plants grow in proximity and making sure that each one of those layers is providing medicine, food, both, or providing fertility for that whole system to continue thriving without that maintenance and input.
Yeah, well said, brother. Well said. Well, we're going to get out of here. If you got any links or anything like that you want to promote other than Food Forest Abundance, you guys can go. Actually, if you go to Food Forest Abundance, or I'm sorry, fringe.fm/FFA, we get a little bit bigger of commission. It helps the station out a little bit more. But if you just end up at foodforestabundance.com and you put in the code word fringe, you get 5% off. Go check out what he's talking about. Check out becoming an ambassador, a designer, an installer. Check out the academy. You can literally run your own business doing this stuff. I'm so behind this thing, man. I haven't seen anything this effective and practical and solution-wise for what's going on today, man. So thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah, thank you all. All I would put out there is, yes, foodforestabundance.com. And if you felt inspired by what you heard today, you want to take action and get involved, or maybe you just want to start growing some food on your own property, please reach out to me, Michael at foodforestabundance.com, Michael at foodforestabundance.com. We'd love to make a design to help you get that implemented on your landscape, or even to just do a consultation and help you figure out where to get started on your own property, or maybe you're even scouting out a new property. It's time, you feel like you're ready to move and you want some help to make sure that you're going to be successful in choosing the right piece of property. Whatever it is, whatever step you're ready to take, we want to help you along the way and help you support making those positive changes in your life.
Very well said. You guys go check it out, foodforestabundance.com. We've got to roll out of here. The Jess Rogie Show's coming up here on the Fringe late night on fringe.fm. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Guess we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for watching on Rockfin. And Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
No problem. Yeah, y'all.